Hi everyone. It's another Tuesday and it's time for another live interview. And this week, and it's something I'm very much been looking forward to, I am going to be joined by Daniel Ives, a very good friend of mine from TableTennisDaily. So the line of questioning is not going to be the same as what you're used to, but I do have 10 questions for him and hopefully we'll get some entertaining. I know we'll get some entertaining answers out of him because, quite frankly, he's a clown. Here he is, Daniel Ives. Welcome to the game, son. Ah, look at that
Hey,
face. Look at that face. That is the face of trouble right there.
it is. Especially when me and you are together. How you
I
doing?
know. I mean, that's the
Okay.
same answer every day, really. It's funny. I
Yeah,
get
man.
I get a lot of people asking me that. They're like, "How are you?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'm doing all right." And then the next day, I get a message from the kid. They're like, "How are you today?" I'm like, "Well, it's just
Not a lot's changed.
exactly the same as yesterday, and it'll be the same again tomorrow."
Yeah.
But healthy and safe. So, I
Yeah, it's
mean,
good, man. It's
that's
good. I
really
mean,
the priority
I
at the
don't know what it's.
moment.
Yeah, last time we spoke, we were like obviously all aggressively in lockdown. But
Mm,
it does seem like in the UK now and other places in Europe, some things are starting to lift. And I don't know if how that's gonna have an effect on things, because there are, like, for example, I just heard that in France, the table tennis clubs will open in June the 2nd.
yeah,
So
yeah.
Germany, I think clubs have opened. So yeah, it's starting to lift. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah,
don't know what
I
it's like for
think
you in America.
uh, it's still pretty locked down generally,
Yeah.
especially where I am because it's been one of the worst affected areas. But oops,
Yeah.
probably helps if I keep that in my ear. Ryan Willard, miss you lads.
He's
D-Day,
great.
it's somebody's birthday today. Fantastic, love to see it. I've got 10 questions for you. So even though this one's a
Ooh.
little bit different, I've still decided to go with the same format. Um, so are you ready? Do you want to? Should we get straight
Yeah.
into it?
Let's just see what. Yeah. Let's see how I get on.
Um, all right.
I have no
Well,
idea what they are, so just
yeah.
fire
Well, I
away,
mean
man.
that's
Let's see
part
what
of the
happens.
fun, really. Okay. This one's
Can I just say it's quite cool because usually I like throw a random question at like a player, and now I know what it feels like for them just getting thrown some
Well, I
random
mean,
dirty
that's
question.
we don't get to spend time on the opposite side of the camera, and it's the same for me.
Yeah.
Like when I get the opportunity to do an interview, I go nuts. Like I just did one last week with the Push, which is like a table tennis club in Brooklyn in New York, and I just get into like the most passionate rant mode ever. It's like this is my
Yeah, yeah.
opportunity. I might not have another interview for like another year. This is my opportunity to just get everything off my chest.
No, I hear you.
Right,
All
we're
right, man.
going.
Well, thanks for
We're
having
we're
me.
going to delve into the world of Daniel Ives because obviously Table Tennis Daily as a brand is very well known, but people might not know so much about you from before Table Tennis Daily. Obviously, you were playing quite a lot when you were younger,
Hmm.
and then you had an injury, so you kind of had to steer away from playing. And the first question that I have for you is, where do you think that you would be now if you hadn't gotten injured and you carried on playing table tennis as like
Oh,
competitive level?
it'd be Liam Pitchford, Paul Drink, or me on the team, 100%.
Oh, oh!
I'm joking.
I should have got Sam Walker and Jarvis in to tell them they've
They're
been
gonna destroy
relegated.
me. No, no, jokes. Listen, I was never ever gonna make it. I think the the thing is, I love the game, and maybe that's why I'm so passionate now. With like yourself, you love it, and you're so
Mm,
passionate. And I think when you have like when you're like, I don't know, it's like many things. If you like love the game so much, sometimes you can love it to the point where uh, you love all the other stuff, not just the playing. And
right.
that's what I liked. You know what I mean? So that's why I played loads. I wanted to go full time at a club, but I was 19 years old playing full time. But at that age, I think you need to be top five in your country really by then. And at the time I was 40, and I don't know. Who knows where it'd have gone? I don't know. It depends. You need the right environment. I had a good environment, but I would have made top 15 UK, I think, about that. That's what Tom Maynard's done. We were quite similar. We both did the same quarter training curve, same
Mm.
age. Well, he's a bit younger than me, but he's got to number 10. And I think would have been around that. I'd have been around that sort of level. I
That's kind
think
of
that, yeah.
that's kind of handy for you to have, where you can look at him and go, okay, I would have been where Tom is. But I mean,
Well, I get
Tom's probably pretty
obviously,
grateful that didn't happen for you, because now Table Tennis Daily is a thing, and Tom's a big part of that as well. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
funny.
exactly.
Like, I mean,
Yeah,
I think for me, like, as much as I regret missing out on a lot of opportunities that I wanted to do, like, I always wanted to play a season in Europe, and there were certain tournaments that I really wanted to play. But as much as I
yeah,
regret all of that, I am very glad for where I ended up. And I think if I'd carried on playing, I would probably be in a terrible position in, like, career wise, or I don't know if I'd have the same opportunities that I've made for myself in table tennis. And I would
yeah,
imagine that
yeah.
in that sense, me and you are a little bit similar.
Yeah, very, very similar. I always compare, like, when you compare table tennis to football, in the UK, there are footballers who are my level at table tennis, like my level right now, like equivalent, do you know what I mean? And they're
Mm,
playing Division 4 football, whatever. And they're all on a salary, they've got good conditions, good environment, good football ground. I struggle to get access to a table tennis table. Like, I really do sometimes. Sometimes I'm like,
really?
where can I practice today? Yeah, the hustle's so real sometimes. Like, you
Oh
know,
man.
you, I'm telling you, like, it can be a struggle. And in when so like, it's hard table tennis. So when you are trying to get to the very top, unless if you are got a great environment, you're going through the right milestones, and
Mm.
you've got a great support team, then you can really make it. If you're like that nearly man, it's quite dodgy, because then you get to the point where you're like, well, I've got to go get a job now.
Dodgy. Yeah, very
Yeah,
much.
but it happened to a
Yeah,
lot.
there's
It's
no
happened to a lot of people in
security.
the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, there's a good podcast at the moment with Ashley Stokes, the ping pong show, and he's got a lot of players on it in the UK who,
Mm.
they're around 20 ranked sort of level, and a lot of them drop out. And the problem with that is because in the UK there's not a professional league. There is a
There's no
professional league, but it's not
pathway.
strong
Yeah.
enough. There's no
Yeah.
pathway, so
Yeah, it's
kids
the
just
same
drop
in the
out, and
US.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's such a shame, because these kids get to a good level. Like, if these kids didn't drop out, who knows? The England team might have some other faces that we may not have never seen before,
Right.
but they
Yeah.
just dropped out. And I'm very fortunate that I went down my route, because now I'm doing this and I'm meeting you and we're having a great time around the world playing ping pong. But, like, there's a lot of graft to get there. It wasn't
Mm.
easy.
Shit, yeah. Fuck.
Jeez. It's like, sometimes it's just like, sometimes I just want to throw the laptop out the window and call it a day. It's tough. Like, it's
Yeah.
not. It
Yeah.
all looks fun
No.
online, because we online we show the finished product, but they don't well, it's hard for people to see the actual. It's like when you watch a movie at the cinema. Like, Avatar took 6 years to make, and you're like, what?
Ah,
six
piss off.
years?
Brax put the fucking score of our one game showdown in. Get out of here, kid. Don't
Which
bring
one?
that up.
Oh yeah,
Don't bring
that's
that
a
up
great.
in here. This is my live, okay? My
Listen,
live. We don't
we're gonna
talk
do a
about
rematch,
that.
but we need to do a rematch, Matt. Best of five.
Yeah.
You have your support team there, your fans, your
That
people, your
fucking
coaches,
game
physios.
destroyed
I'm gonna
me.
have myself. Yeah, no,
Destroyed me. I
it
can't,
affected
I
your career.
can't,
I know.
I can't walk anywhere in table tennis without somebody going, "Oh, I watch your match with Dan, your one game showdown." And I was just like, "Oh shit, man," like,
I'm so
it's
sorry, dude. Oh man.
brack. All right, let's move on to the next question.
Yeah. Good,
Before
good
we
stuff.
get into that one, this is like a really basic question. When you started Table Tennis Daily way back
Hmm.
in 2000, end of 2009, was it?
Yeah,
It's a
2009. Yeah, sort of
decade. It's
time.
more than a decade old.
Yeah.
Um, did you ever have the vision or any kind of imagination that it would eventually become what it is now? I mean,
Uh, you.
obviously, you wanted it to be really cool. You wanted people to be talking
Hmm.
about table tennis. But could you ever possibly have imagined that it would be I mean, it's a from my perspective, it's a very significant part of the table tennis community now, especially online. Like Table Tennis
I think.
Daily is a like a I don't even know what the word is for it. Like it's like a statue. Like it's just a cemented part of the table tennis community. Like everybody knows Table Tennis Daily.
No, thanks, man. That means a lot, you know. And honestly, I am like overwhelmed by it all because initially, the thing is, early on, it did create traction, like, and that's why I
Mm.
stuck at it, and that's how I think same with yourself as well. That's how it all started happening on YouTube and that, and you was like, wow, actually, when I post this video, it could get 10,000 views, and it become like an addiction, and by doing that type of thing,
I can't even get 10,000 views now.
I knew you were going to say that. Sorry, I saw your face there. I was like, oh.
Yeah,
No,
it's
but
like
like.
10,000.
Yeah, no, but like it comes like addiction, and I saw that it kind of worked. And what happened was in 2009, I went on holiday with my parents to Spain, and I was quite bored. And obviously, I was injured, and I was hanging out, chilling, and I just had a notepad, and I remember writing down all these things. Like, okay, I already had the YouTube channel, and then I started doing the
Mm,
website, and I literally like drew the whole thing how I wanted it all to look. And
right.
it still kind of looks like that to today, you know, like how like videos, okay, people are going to search for videos, people are going to search in the forum, questions, equipment, that's interesting. And I had all those like things, and I just tried to attack it all at the same time, which sometimes that's not a good thing. I sometimes do too much, and that's why, but I try and just attack
Which
everything.
is,
But
yeah, yeah. It's worth pointing out to people that sometimes I can't reach this man for like 2 or 3 days at a time.
sorry, yeah.
He's like the
It's,
worst responder of all time. And then the other day, the other day, he sent me a screenshot of the video you were editing with like just
oh,
oh,
dude,
the number of
yeah,
cuts that were going on in there. I was like, man, I'm so
yeah.
glad.
But
I'm so glad that my YouTube videos are like basic as shit. Like I don't have to put
yeah,
a
that's what
million
we were
effort.
discussing the other day. I was like, "Yo, I'm loving your coaching videos right now. How are you churning them out every day?" And you're like, "Dude, I shoot it, and within 3 hours, it's online." I'm
Yeah,
like, "Mate, my rendering process takes 3 hours on a video, let alone let
yeah.
alone the
Well, I
whole
mean,
thing."
yeah. The thing for me is that my I have a DSLR camera, but the audio cracked on it. And obviously, like right now, there's nothing that I can do. I just have to do whatever I can do. So I've been using my phone, which is like makes things pretty easy. But at the same time, like
See,
I wanted to focus a lot more on the content. So I basically I probably film my videos in like 6 takes, maybe 5 or 6 different sections. And so I don't really need
okay,
to do I don't I don't need to do much editing. It's just me talking and then me demonstrating. Some people think
yeah,
I
to put
talk
it
too
in, yeah,
much. I'm not going to disagree with them. It is a lot of talking, but it's a different type of coaching
yeah,
video. Some people like it.
yeah, exactly. And I think table tennis people who are really trying to improve, what I get is people really like listening and take everything. So yeah.
Mm. Yeah, it actually
You,
leads on to my next question quite well. Speaking of like online feedback, and I gave you a little bit of a danger warning about this question already. I want to know what the worst or funniest, I don't want to be too negative, the worst or funniest thing you've ever read about yourself online, whether it's on YouTube comments or social media.
yeah,
What
yeah, yeah.
is, what,
You
is,
prep
you
me
know,
for, yeah,
there's got
yeah.
to be
I,
something that stands out.
hmm. It's not, you know what, right? My initial reaction to that straight away is nothing stands out as such, but
Not like me then.
it's like, huh? Not like your one. You've got that
You
legendary
know,
one.
you already know
Yeah,
what my one
the
is.
the Fat Waltner, legendary.
80-year-old fat Waldner. Yeah.
That's like the most savagest like line of all time. But at the
But
same
it
time,
was
it's like a
funny.
compliment. At
It
this,
was
yeah,
so funny. I
it's almost
honestly
like a
like
compliment. It's like, yeah,
I just wonder the person who made the comment if they ever expected that I would react the way that I did because I just it floored me. Like I was so hilarious.
you
Um,
need to meet that guy in person.
I would love to know who it was because
Yeah,
I
let's track him
was
down.
tearing up. It was hilarious. Like
Do
it's creative.
you reckon?
Um,
Do you reckon an 80-year-old Waltner would beat you?
no,
You know what?
80?
I can't
No,
wait until we're like a vet.
I
And
don't
all
think
these
so.
players, like,
I
like when
mean,
these guys,
there's
like,
a 80. There's only so much you can do when you're 80.
Yeah.
I mean,
Remember we
he's
was at the World
how
Vets,
old is
those
he now?
guys.
He's 50. He's 50
Listen,
something.
Waltner would beat you with a blimmin' toothpick.
Fuck off. A toothpick. Don't you dare. All
Yeah, no,
right,
no, no, no. In
you,
terms of comments, I like
yeah.
I go through all the comments and I try to get back to as many as I can. Good for the algorithm and also good just to get engaging people in the old thing. But like, so I mean, recently they've been a lot better. I've had some negative ones, like people were like, "Oh, Dan, you know, you're this, you're that," da, 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 da. But oh, your forehand's really weak. I get that one a lot, and I'm like, dude, I'm trying. Like, I'm hustling out there. I'm hustling against some
But
pro,
you know,
and I'm
like
trying to hit the forehand.
a lot of people don't know that your back's injured. Like,
And there's
and
all sorts.
that's like, I would never be able to. You can't play power when you have like a permanent back injury. Like, it's
It's tricky.
impossible.
I know. Yeah, I
But
need
people
to
don't care
somehow.
about
Yeah,
that. It's the internet. Like, nobody gives a
exactly,
shit. You got to play with
exactly.
short pips and just go for full on hand speed.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
crack
Hishi went.
racket. Yeah.
Yeah. But one thing I do love the comments from is the TTD team series. Like those comments are like insane. Like really are. I don't know if you've seen any of them, but like people are
Yeah.
loving it and
Yeah.
bloody impressive. Like I never thought that would work, and I just thought, right, let's give it a go.
It's just it's a really nice, a lot of people will probably never have the chance to experience that team atmosphere. And, you know,
True.
it's all the way to the details, like the nicknames for each player, and there's some personality. And last week I was on a rant. I was on like a serious rant about the severe lack of character in the sport. There is so little personality. There's nothing people can relate to. Yes, we love Timo Boll because he's a gentleman. You know, like Samsonov, very good sportsman. But it's just too proper. It's a gentleman's game. There's no drama.
We don't know much about them.
Nobody complains about anything. And it's like,
No.
I want people with passion. I want to see someone like that doesn't like something about the sport publicly saying something about it, not just letting it slide.
It's true, mate. Look at you know Tyson Fury in boxing. Do you watch all the boxing stuff?
Yeah, big Dosset, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What a hero! Tyson Fury is like 100 personalities in one. If he gets interviewed, he will say the most controversial stuff, the most crazy stuff. And I'm such a fan now of that boxing world. I can't wait to Tyson Fury's next match. I'll watch it.
Do you know who I really like? Do you know who I like? When Lewis Capaldi.
Yeah, he's excellent. Unbelievable.
Honestly, if
when
there was a table tennis player that did interviews like Lewis Capaldi, I would be the biggest fan of that person he's
a genius.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, like if you think of a sport like snooker and stuff like that, like proper sports, like you're saying, like we're very like clean cut, and this is kind of what table tennis has always been. Like local league is very clean cut type of sport. And it needs to sort of shift and change. Like, look at the UFC. It's mental. The post interviews are mental.
Yeah.
You know, they're shouting out to people, I want to fight you next, or whatever.
Yeah.
And we need this in table tennis. I want Timo Boll finishing the match going, Harimoto, I want you in the next round, you know? Like,
I thought you were going to say Timo Boll's going to pick a fight with someone after the match.
Yeah. But, you know, like, it's difficult. And also, let's see what happens with World Table Tennis, because they're looking like they're going to cut down the tournaments, right? There's a lot of people for and against it. But if there are less events, it means players are playing less often, which makes the match more interesting. At the moment, Timo Boll plays Marlon 400,000 times a season, or Timo Boll plays Harimoto 10 times. It's so often. So now when they play, sometimes I don't even tune in and watch. I've seen it too many times. I
had that conversation with Zoki last week in my the last interview that I did. And you know, like you'll remember possibly like quite far back, maybe like up to 2012, 2013, we used to watch everything. You know, if there was a world tour on live,
remember? Oh, we were there.
and it was like if it was 3:00 in the morning in New Zealand, I was still watching. And you had the ITTV with the chat room as well. But it died for me. I just stopped doing it. And it's there's only so much you can watch of the same players playing each other over and over again, and there's just something severely lacking from
Yeah.
table tennis,
Look,
and,
look, look,
and
look
it
at this, right?
annoyed me.
Yeah, going back to the boxing world, it is different, but they're doing well. Like Tyson Fury will fight Anthony Joshua once or twice in his lifetime if we are lucky. As a
Yeah.
fan, we are so lucky if Tyson Fury fights Anthony Joshua. It may never happen. In table tennis, there was a point where I was like, oh my God, Tim Bowl gets to play Harimoto. This kid's only 12. Who's going to win? This is unreal. And the interest online was insane. But because they've played so many times now, their rallies are like, they know each other's game. Like what needs to happen is players don't, maybe the lockdown may help. When players come back in, it's going to be quite interesting now to see what happens. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
quite
a good
curious
point.
now. Simon Gauzy's training his ass off in Oxenhausen, whilst some players ain't got a table,
Actually,
right?
you know,
So
their little
it's going to be interesting.
their little back and forth for social media has been really good.
It's fantastic.
Hugo and
They're
Gauzy.
doing like
That's the
wars.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
That's
it's
kind
great.
of like Kevin Hart and The Rock kind of back and forth banter.
Yeah, that's true. It's nice. Can I just say, you got some great comments here. Thanks, people, for commenting and like saying things are great. Appreciate it. Hope you're all good.
I'm gonna throw out some if we have time at the end. Some people ask you some questions because I know usually people generally have a lot. But we better move on. Otherwise, I'll never get through them. The fourth question is,
great.
Who is the most difficult one-set showdown that you've had to play so far?
You know, right, Liam Pitchford. Just everything about him. It was disgusting. Like, it was disgusting. I wanted to go home. I was like, you know what? Good to see you, mate. I'm going to go in my car and pack up. I'll leave the cameras here. I'm going home. Like, I felt like an absolute beginner. Like, you know, it was nothing to it. You know, like for example, Primorac, right? He serves in, you flick, he holds it, you know. Pitchford is constant. Like, he's always been like a counter. He's always, his serves are disgusting. You can't do absolutely nothing. If whatever return you do, he's all over it like a rash. Like, it's so difficult. So, no, Liam Pitchford stays in my mind. And it was throughout the whole thing. Anything we did, like, he was just so all over it. And, yeah, and I think that's why Liam is so effective against the Chinese guys, because of the way he plays, there's no half-heartedness. It's always pure aggression. Like, you know, like if you look at the older school players, they were great to watch because I think it weren't so aggressive early on.
Yeah,
like, you know,
passive.
if you watch Sean Primorac versus Save, if you watch Sean versus Save right now, it would be one hell of a showdown, even now at their age, you know, unreal match. If you watch, but when Pitchford plays, let's say, I don't know, like whoever, because it's so advanced in that short game, like if Pitchford played Primorac, Pitchford would be so effective in the short game. It would be interesting to see how Primorac held the rally, you know, and that's what it is. So when, like, let's say I'm taking on Pitchford, it's just a nightmare, and just a nightmare. Like, you feel like an absolute beginner. Yeah, you need. Well, next time you see him, get on the table.
I feel like a beginner now almost any time I get on the table.
even when you play me.
Yeah. Yeah, watching that video back. You know,
I watched it back, right? I've watched it a few times. I love it when Timo Boll pops up, you know, in the back.
That was
There's
fantastic.
that billboard of Timo.
Yeah.
It's fantastic, isn't it? What?
I don't understand how it got up. Like, I don't know why it was there.
Mate, we picked one table out of 180 tables, and it happened to be that table we picked.
There were more tables than that, yeah.
Was there? Oh, more than 200, right?
It's more than 200 tables. But I don't understand, like, I don't know why there would be a banner that tall. It was like above the wall of the booth.
It was weird. And it looked quite real, like it was strange.
And he had his arms folded. He was like this. He's like, all right, what's going on here, you know?
Let me play the winner.
Yeah. Oh, well, he did. So there you go.
Yeah, true. A big appreciation to Timo. Timo, he is an absolute legend of the game, isn't he? What a man. Like, he is a man. I wish we knew more about him, though. I know what you're saying. Like, I want to know what it looks like when he drives a car. Sounds crazy. But, you know, like Ronaldo. I know what it looks like Ronaldo drives his Bugatti. You know, I can visualize that. I've seen it on the YouTube, you know. 10 million views, Ronaldo driving a Bugatti car.
Yeah, like, I mean, they take people out from the sporting environment and put them into something else. I would even tune in if it was like Timo Boll versus, let's say, Ovcharov mini golf. Like, I'd watch that. I'd totally watch that. It's just something completely out of the box, and it would be hilarious. I can't imagine like, I don't know about you, but when I played mini golf, the club is guaranteed to get thrown at least once because
Oh,
it
100%.
drives me
Dude,
nuts. Like, I
okay,
can't.
I think me and you need to have a match at mini golf because I am so
You know what
competitive
we
at mini
should do?
golf.
You know what we should do the next time? We should have a instead
Yes,
of
Joe.
well, apart from the rematch, we should have some kind of like small sports challenge. We do like mini golf, darts,
Yeah,
that kind of thing. That would be fun.
it's wicked. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I love that.
might be a while, but we could do that. All right, let's push
Yeah,
on
yeah,
with
yeah, yeah.
these questions because I'm not even halfway. Um, I said, what are some of the big goals you have for Table Tennis Daily now? Obviously, you've established like yourself really well. What's
Yeah.
next? If there's one, is there one thing that really stands out? It kind of leads into my next question, which is going to be fun.
Yeah, no, whenever anyone ever asks me that, because I don't really have like a long-term goal. My goal is just be consistent and maintain everything, like,
I mean,
and get a
honestly, that's a
workflow.
huge goal. I mean, there's a huge goal. Being
Yeah, I
consistent
guess
is
that's a
like
goal.
that's
Yeah,
that's that's the difference between platforms that make it and platforms that don't.
yeah,
Is a lot of people are really passionate, but it comes and goes and it
yeah,
fluctuates and they die out. I think that's
yeah.
kind of what makes you a rare specimen, for lack of
I'm
better
just a
words,
lunatic.
to
Yeah,
be able to. I mean, we're talking about a decade that Table Tennis Daily has never faltered to deliver something constantly. Like your
cheers, man.
brain kind of slept for like a decade. It
Yeah, no.
never stops. It's like it's the city that never sleeps in the world of table tennis. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
that's my goal. That's what it's always been to just maintain the consistency of. I've always been aware that like news, like actual news and content, you need to be very quick to it. You know, if you're a day
Mm.
late, it's difficult. You know, like
Oh yeah,
let's
yeah.
say T-Mobile won the Olympics and we both do an article the day after. You might as well just chuck it to the cleaners. You know, it
Yeah,
ain't
I
going
mean,
anywhere.
yeah, it was like before when people were doing match highlights and
Yeah,
like everybody wanted to be like the
that was
YouTube
insane.
channel to go to for ITTF match highlights. And it got to a point where Geka and Giannis and
Yeah,
Crossave, they'd figured out this way that they could
they
download
were
the match
crazy.
during the match, edit the
Yeah,
games during the next game, and by the end
real
of the
time.
match, they
Yeah.
were hitting publish. Yeah, and I was like, well, I'm not going to compete with that, obviously, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw
I'm
something
out.
quite cool when I was at T2. They had this software to actually edit in real time. So what happens is you put the feed into the laptop, and as they're playing live, let's say Gals is playing mile long, that feed's coming
Mm.
into the laptop. It's coming into the timeline, and you just cut in right there and then. And as soon as the match
Hmm.
is finished, you just render. Yeah, it's really cool. It's like use like a black box thing, connect it all up, connect it to
Yeah,
the main feed. It's very clever, but that's what a lot of sports highlights do, like football highlights and stuff. It
yeah, they
literally
need
got
that kind of
the
thing.
feed going directly in the timeline. But anyway, yeah, we were young back then with very little things going on.
And now
Hustling,
here we are again, old,
yeah,
but with
still battling like
less things
donkeys.
going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
This question is could potentially be a good one. Um, if you had an unlimited budget for one table tennis project or one idea,
Hmm.
what would you do? You can pick any one focus area that you would want to
Yeah.
do.
Now,
What would
what
you
it
do?
would be?
Unlimited budget.
Okay, unlimited budget would be um table tennis. You know, like the Werner Schlager Academy
Mm-hmm.
in Austria. It'd be that one of those.
Table Tennis
I think
Daily
they're
Academy.
key. Yeah,
That'd be
yeah.
great.
But a huge thing, you know, all the pros rocking up to it, having all different pathways. You know, like I know that Werner Schlager Academy was huge, huge funding. I think it cost like 23 million just to
Yeah.
set up and
Yeah,
everything. And
it
then I
was
don't know what
massive.
the budgets, but it's disgusting. It was government funding. Like it weren't even like a big investor. It was like government funding. And
Mm.
it's a shame it's not there anymore because I feel like that type of thing is actually key to like long term of table tennis. Like look at football. They've got 500 Werner Schlager academies in Europe. No, not 500, 5,000 of them. You know,
Mm.
and that's what keeps the sport going. And then we need that. And I'm not saying we need to go complete to the other end of it, but I just think a table tennis academy, table tennis academy like Werner Schlager Academy would just be genius.
Yeah, I remember one of the things that he talked about was the need for the rest of the world to work together more. So like
Mm,
China has such a great infrastructure, and you can take all of the players in the world together and you might be on par with what China has in terms of resources, training partners, coaches. So his vision was always very much that you need to have more countries working together, less focus on national teams and more
okay.
focus
Yeah.
on having big centers where resources are pulled across different countries instead of, I
Yeah.
mean, what are the odds that a country with one government, one set of players, and one coach is going to be able to beat China? It's just not going to happen. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean that's a good answer. Um,
Yeah. Like Joe made a point here. 4 yearly Ryder Cup style tournaments, World versus China. Yeah, this I think will be awesome, and I think the World Table Tennis structure it could help promote this because at the moment everything is too nationalized. Like, okay, the USA team train with each other, and then you've got the
yeah,
clubs in Europe as well. But if things went more like tennis, and you had Wimbledon, like Roger Federer and that, and if you had that sort of style in table tennis, long term could work because then you're going to have more individual players working with each other to try and win the events. You know, like Otrov teaming up with Gauzy. You know, but at the moment because it's
yeah,
very
yeah. That's a
individualized with the
really good.
leagues,
Yeah,
it may
I
promote
I
that.
also thought like a really good concept for ITTF to get into would be, you know how they used to have like China versus the world or Korea versus the world? It's that
Yeah, yeah,
concept of all stars, or putting together like an all stars team. Because I
yeah.
remember there was one year where it was Korea versus the world, and the world team would have been Timo Boll, Krajanga, Schlager, and who was the fourth player? Wang Hao.
Mm.
They were four
I
of them
remember watching it.
together
So
on one team. It was
it was like
probably one of the most
2014, wasn't it?
entertaining exhibitions ever.
Yeah.
That was against the Korean national team. But like stuff like that, like
Hey,
exhibitions, really decent exhibitions, you
exhibitions.
just don't see
Look,
them very often anymore.
okay, so look what trends on social media. Long rallies. You know, any video that gets more than 1 million views on Facebook is because of some crazy long rally generally. Or like remember Pargarel versus Adrian Matinee 90 ball
Yeah,
rally. It got like 10 million views on one channel on Facebook. And so if there were more exhibitions, it could definitely help promote events. So for example, in the World Championships, halfway through you had I don't know, two epic exhibitionists who would practice it, dump that onto the socials, promote the event. No, I think it definitely would
yeah.
work. Yeah.
But also there's like if you look at tennis, there are some moments in that are there's like more fan engagement, and like table
Yeah.
tennis fans are so far away from the table, you just never see it. Like I
Mm-mm.
always thought it would be really funny. There's so much formality in table tennis that nobody ever breaks away from it, and you'll never
Yeah.
see like imagine how people would react if Marlon was playing like a round of 16 match. He's winning like 8-2, doesn't really give a crap, it's an easy match for him. And then he goes to the sideline, grabs a kid from the audience and go, here's my racket, go play the next point. Like that
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of thing will never happen because table tennis is the
That
way
happens.
that it is.
That happens in tennis, though, right? Is that what you mean? Like you've
It
seen that
happens
has
in
happened in tennis
tennis.
before?
Do
Yeah,
you
I've
remember
seen it.
that there was like a somewhat overweight guy that Kim Clijsters grabbed at Wimbledon
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they were playing a doubles match and she was like, "Here, you come and get on the court." And they were like, "Hold on a minute, it's Wimbledon. He's not wearing white. Like if you're on the court, the rules are you have to wear white." And so
Yeah.
Kim Clijsters gave him a skirt and a shirt that were white,
That's
and he
amazing.
squeezed them on. And the guy's like got a big he's British, he's got a big beer belly, and he squeezes on this tight little outfit, and the whole crowd is going like nuts. They're like, "This is like the funniest thing we're going to see all week or all month," and it just
Yeah.
went huge. And that kind of like all it takes is one point and one really spontaneous moment where people were like thinking, holy shit, like I'm probably never going to see this ever again. How would you imagine something like that would happen? But
Yeah.
instead, we know exactly what to expect. We know exactly how the day is going to go. We know how a match is going to go. We probably know who's going to win already. We know how both players play. Everything's the same. Nothing. There's likely to be no drama. It's like table tennis for me is flatlining. Like it just there's no interruption to it. Just completely normal, expected experience.
Yeah. Do you know what I think is one of the biggest moments that ever happened in table tennis? Maybe you know it. Like it was one
Save
moment.
and Changchi,
Right? Yeah, that was big. No, that was big. There was one moment that went super viral.
Or Janjika smashing a hole in the barriers. That was pretty big.
Smashing. No, that's it. That's what I'm talking. Yeah, it was that. Yeah, that thing right there was because I was studying all the web pages at the time on Vine. Vine, it literally had like 100 million views. It was like a 3-second clip. And that Janjika kicking that barrier had like 100 million views. It was on Huffington Post. It was on all the massive America pages.
I mean,
it was the biggest thing in the world.
That's what I'm talking about. That's like a moment where everybody stops and goes, oh, we thought table tennis players were like boring nerds who were good at math and playing violin.
It's true.
You know, like
That's
nerdy
true.
people who are not physical. People think that table tennis players are like, there's so many stereotypes around table tennis. Yeah. But when it's so unexpected for somebody who plays table tennis to kick a hole in a barrier when they win and to get fined $45,000. And like that's what the mainstream media is looking for. They're looking for something that's totally out of the blue. Like and for that to happen in table tennis was insane. And I mean, obviously, like it's difficult to be like, oh, you know, you don't want to teach the kids that you're coaching and be like, you know, every now and then when you win a match, just go and kick a hole in something. But there needs to be a way to people need to be more accepting of character. And I mean, like Harimoto's out there screaming his guts out, and people hate it. And like Bernadette's shrieking when she wins, and people hate it. Like there's such a stigma from table tennis fans of like, oh, how can you behave like that in our sport? It's so improper. And at the same time, it's like, well, it's boring if nobody does that. The fact that you're allowed to have an opinion and say, I don't like that, is good in itself. Otherwise, you'd just be like sitting on the couch going, oh, that was a good match. On to the next one, you know.
This is it. This is why we need to try and change that and get it will attract the kids more for sure. More engaging, more madness going on.
We've kind of actually just gone over really my next question was, what do you think the biggest thing lacking in table tennis now is that could turn the sport around? I feel like we kind of just answered that. I don't know if you think there's anything more significant.
You know, like
stumped him.
You know what? Right. So you know, like league table tennis. I love watching league. Like if you go to like the German league, and you're in a small sports hall, there's 800 people in there. It's insane. It's amazing. It's very closed in, and I don't know what it is, but it seems to make better rallies. I don't know if that's just because it's perception, but the rallies seem to be a bit more...
smaller halls are usually faster.
Yeah. And I think if major events somehow could incorporate some of that feel, I think you've already mentioned it anyway, closer in and stuff like that. Like T2 did it. It was very close in, actually, to be fair to it. But yeah, like, you remember when we was at the World Championships, actually? We had a great time, me and you and the crowd. Marlon versus Matthias Falk in the final.
Yeah.
What a great game. But we were so far away.
We were so far away. Yeah.
I want to be next to the table.
You get so far back that we were watching it on the screens.
I think I was watching it on my phone.
Yeah, I've seen people. There's big screens in the venue, and you end up watching it on the screen because you're like, I can't see. Like, you either have you either have a horrible angle, and you're too close to the ground. So it's far too impersonal.
We had a really rough angle, didn't we, for that match?
It was horrendous.
Remember it? Yeah, we were probably
I remember it.
Seats.
Well, I mean,
but it was great,
player section, it's normal.
Yeah. Look, the atmosphere was fantastic there. There was 7,000 people and everyone was screaming
Mm.
Matthias or Marlon. It was great. One of the best experiences of my life. If somehow it was completely packed in, like when you're at Wimbledon, I've not been to Wimbledon yet, but I've seen it on TV.
Courtside.
You know, like how it, yeah, like how it is. There's 15,000 people that can fit in Wimbledon, and it
Mm.
goes like this way, like the seats, like
It's tiered
the
up.
pitch,
Yeah.
yeah, straight up. We in that event, it was like tiered backwards. We was basically on the moon, you know,
Yeah.
trying to. Yeah, like we're just going straight up like Wimbledon would be great, and then right in the center is the table tennis table. It'd be
Yeah.
mad,
When
like a concert.
I played China Open in 2015, and it was a bowl
Woo!
stadium. So there was like, it was a round arena. There were 8 tables in the center of it, and the
Yeah.
seating was all, I don't know, probably like 20 meters above. So you were looking down on all the tables.
Okay.
And then once they moved to the finals, they had seating alongside the tables, like VIP seating and stuff, which I thought was a lot better because you're a lot closer. You can actually see the match. And I think
Yeah,
not being able to
China.
see
Yeah.
the match when you go live is like, you better have something else going on in the arena that's going to entertain me. Because if I can't watch the
Mm,
match, why am I here? And
yeah.
there never is. It's always like,
Yeah. I
if you
hear
don't
you.
have
Yeah.
somebody to like talk shit to, which we were
Yeah.
lucky because we did. We had a small group of us, but it's a
That's
disappointing
actually
spectator experience for
no.
a world
That's a
championship
good.
final. Like, mm,
It's a good point. I went. You know what? I saw a professional in act do that properly. I went to. You know, Strictly Come Dancing. You know that show in the UK that Will was
yeah,
on.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Strictly Come Dancing. So Will got me a ticket, and I went to watch him live. Right. And the professionalism of the whole thing was just insane. Obviously, it's BBC; it's their number one show. As
Mm,
soon as you get there, you get seated and stuff. You know, if you leave your seat, you can't come back. You have to stay there for 6 hours. Even if you need to go to the toilet, you can't go to the toilet. You
oh,
have to stay there because they don't want anyone leaving the seats because the cameras are always
they want
going
them
around
full.
the frame.
Yeah,
But constantly, there's a guy there, a showman, who's like keeping the crowd entertained. It's hilarious. Like that was actually one of the best parts of being in that experience, not just watching the dancing and stuff and whatever. It was actually just being part of like the crowd and you know
mm.
and having the showman guys. What do you call these guys? These showmen, like hosts? Don't know,
They call
whatever
them
they're called.
MC usually, don't they?
MC, yeah,
Master of
MC exactly.
ceremonies, host.
Yeah, these guys, and
Yeah.
he's going around, he's having a great time, keeping everyone entertained. While you know, there's some parts that were like 45 minutes of dead space, you know.
Mm.
And that, like you're saying, that's what it needs to be at a table tennis event, like
They did some cool
compact and.
stuff. Like,
I
remember
one of the
they
world
had like
champs.
they had trivia. You know, you could do it on your phone through the app.
Oh yeah, they
That I
did.
thought
That was
was
cool.
cool. And you know, there was like the you could take a photo of you and your friends in the crowd,
And it comes up on the screen.
and send it up, put it on the screen. Like that kind of stuff I like, and certainly they could do more of that. But just overall, like there's too much dead space in the crowd. There's not
Yeah,
enough. You know, apart from music, which is great, they need to do something else. And I know with the World Table Tennis, they're potentially looking at doing different finals, like having different kind of venues that are more focused in on one table, like World
I
Championships of
do
ping
think this
pong,
has got
which is
potential.
it's the
Yeah, that's a
honestly
good
like,
point. That place.
and it was something that really got pushed through when I was at USA Table Tennis with Gordon Kay, who was the CEO then, and he was very intent on taking the final out of this massive convention center with all these tables and putting it in an environment that was very personal, very much like up on the sidelines of the table,
Yeah.
dark around the table with the light focused on one table. And he was very articulate in how he planned things out. And there was a
Mm-hmm.
bar there, you know, so it was like they were in nightclubs in Vegas, which
Yeah.
is like you'd think it's just the most bizarre place to hold a table tennis event, but there was
Yeah.
something really cool about it. And you know, 2016 we had the US Open in one of the hotels off the end, the Foundry, which is like a music theater venue inside one of the casinos in Vegas, and
Okay.
we probably had 600 people packed around the table. Adriana Diaz won the women's singles. So there are like Puerto Ricans in the crowd that have nothing to do with table tennis, but are just going off their nut in the
Yeah, I
audience.
bet.
And it's just, there's a lot more character to it. And It's nice. I think, if they could build something like that and get a lot more people in, then it's a good step
That
in the
would be
right
cool.
direction for them.
This is what I'm thinking they're trying to do with the Grand. Can you update me a bit on the Grand Smashes? I think you'll know a bit more than me. So, is it right that they're looking to get rid of the World Championships? Is that a thing? And they're just going to have
I've
4 main events?
seen, I've seen Steve Dainton express that it's his opinion that
Ah,
potentially they should get rid of the World Championships. It's a horrible event for people to organize. It's huge. It's too big. Malaysia, when I played the World Champs in Malaysia, it was horrible. The having to organize 2 separate venues for like the World Team Champs. There's like 1,000 players. It's insane. Like it's so insane. It's really unique. It's a great event. You get to meet players from all different countries, but from a commercial standpoint, from a promoting the sport standpoint, it's just too much. Like there's way too much
mm,
going on. Um, would I support getting rid of it? It's another tradition. It's another tradition. Whether people are willing to let go of tradition, I find in table tennis most people aren't, and people cling to things and usually take things very personally when the sport
mm.
changes. So I don't think that the spectators would support it very much. But you've got World Championships, World Team Championships, Men's World Cup, Women's World Cup, World Team Cup.
Yeah.
How is anybody supposed to
Commercially,
follow that?
yeah,
Like,
and also commercial sponsors will be like, well, we've got the World Team Cup. Why should we sponsor the World Champs? What's the difference? And there's World Tour Grand Finals. There's so many of them, and
mm,
yeah, I mean, like there was one point where it got insane. T2 event, World Tour Grand Finals, World Cup, Women's World Cup, World Champs. There was so many. Do you remember back to back? China Open, Japan
yeah,
Open,
yeah.
everything,
And the thing
constant.
is, actually, the World
It must be
Cup
insane.
is the correct model to go by.
Mm,
Having people in their countries qualify for their national teams, who then go on to continental events and qualify from their continents to play in the World Cup. That is the
mm.
correct way of doing things. So, in my mind, the World Cup has a lot more value if they can do media coverage and promotion more of the qualification steps that go into it. But the
Yeah,
matches
the
at the
only
World Cup
yeah.
are like great. Like when you get to the
Mm.
top 16 players in the world, it's like every match is amazing.
Yeah, the only thing is though, like with the World Championships, there's a lot more prestigiousness to that for whatever
Yeah,
reason.
there's no
The World
money though.
Championships is massive.
It
It's what?
is. It is. There's
It
no
is
money
massive.
though.
So
But
yeah,
it's
so they're
it's
not. So
because
they're not.
it's a tradition. That's why.
So
It
they're not.
just
Yeah, they're not going to get rid of it at the moment.
no.
That's just
I don't
right.
think
Okay.
so. But
Okay.
I think it's certainly part of their possibly their intention is. I
Yeah.
mean,
Someone
they
just
can't get
mentioned.
rid of it. They've got to try the World Table Tennis first.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in here. Joe Ratajac's talking about a good friend of mine from Bristol. He's talking about how like he's watched some matches where guys had like beers in their hands and stuff, and the atmosphere was amazing. That's what the ping pong
Ah,
does really well. I think that would definitely help.
yeah.
But this is something interesting, right? This guy here, Ping Pong News, said, "Are you talking about the new Grand Smasher tournaments? Pro players think it's a way to separate them from their leagues." I've heard this. Thoughts on that? Like right now, players, a lot of players, it's difficult because a lot of their salary, I'm guessing, that like they play their league, right? And that has to be
Mm,
like their strong point. And then there's the
yeah.
ITF events. Like there is quite a lot of gap. Like you don't see Roger Federer playing in the league, do you? Roger Federer plays Grand Slams
I
and that's
don't.
it.
I don't think I've really ever.
I've never
You
heard.
don't really hear anything about professional tennis leagues, really.
No,
I
not
mean,
at all. All
well,
you know
I
of,
can
all
imagine
you
like
know of
if
is
I was a big
Wimbledon.
tennis fan, maybe I would. But yeah,
Maybe they're wrong.
honestly,
Maybe I'm completely wrong there. But I have a feeling that Federer only does play the Grand Slams and the
yeah.
big
Oh,
events.
for sure. Yeah. Um, that's a good point, and I think I've always felt that the Grand Slam model would be good for table tennis to try and follow along with. Um, because there are definitely some deficiencies with how the World Tour is run. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, maybe we've basically answered all of the other questions without even answering them. So maybe for the last 10 minutes, since everybody's tuned in, I don't want to skip over everyone's questions or comments because
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
a lot of you guys have been here for an hour. So the good thing is that I don't have to be the one that picks out the questions. So you can. I'm
Yeah,
just
no,
gonna
this is great.
sit here with this one's more casual for me. I can throw in some bad words and drink a Coke during it.
This is great. No, that Coke is looking really inviting. I might have to get one after this.
That's my last one.
Coke is.
It's my
You
last
should send
one,
me
and
one.
well, I mean, I might not go grocery shopping for another month, so I
To
saved
be
it
honest,
for a
I'm looking.
special occasion.
The comments, there's some good comments. Recent comments we've already spoke about. Joe mentioned about the beer and the Grand Smashers and stuff.
Mm.
Someone said here, when's the next TD episode out? Hopefully this weekend. Working on it.
Did you play? Is that
Oh
a
yeah.
match that you played in, or?
No, it's a junior one. It's going to be interesting.
Oh,
It's like
okay,
juniors in the UK. Yeah, so we're like showing like the pathway. It should be quite cool. They're a good bunch
that's
of kids.
interesting.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what you think of it. I think it'll work. Like I said, I don't know. Like these episodes I'm doing, like I'm throwing my dad in there as the chairman, and he's doing all sorts of weird things.
Fantastic,
But
fantastic.
somehow it just
No better
works.
man, no better man for the job than Peter Ives.
Yeah. He loves it. Look, we got Joe here said Matt surely needs to be in the T2D team. Like 100%. We need to get Matt down here. As soon as you're in the UK, Matt, we need to get you.
I actually mentioned that to Dan recently. I haven't been back to the UK. A lot of people don't know, but I was actually born in England. And I have
It's mad,
never.
isn't it? In Blackpool, it's mad.
I was born in Blackpool. I've never been back
It's
to the
hilarious.
UK. So I left in 1995 when I was 5 years old, and my family's been back, and obviously my extended family lived there, but I left so young that I didn't really have ties to them, so I never went back. But I think if there was anything that really would be drawing me to come back, first of all, I want my rematch, and then secondly, I mean, it will be fun. It will be fun, and I actually do have one friend that lives in Bristol, which was surprising to me, who I went to school with. So
Okay, sweet. Yeah,
there you
come to
go.
Bristol. Joe's here. Look, me, you, Joe will hang out. We'll play some ping pong. Yeah, look,
Yeah,
Blackpool to Vegas of
I'll
England.
put it on the
Let's do it.
cards.
Let's do
Yeah,
it.
Blackpool, gross. Mm.
You know, yeah, so that's all good stuff. Other questions are, I think that's it. I don't know a lot. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Adam is doing a very good job for ITTF. Greedy for
Yeah,
Upton.
dude, his YouTube channel is doing amazing.
Yeah,
Really
it's flying.
amazing. I
Yeah.
was looking at it before because he posted one video about this is a viral table tennis video, and I was like, I was actually, me and you were nerding out about that kind of thing. So like, I was really interested to see how it was performing. So I went and looked. But man, yeah, no, he's doing crazy. He's insanely passionate, which I love.
Yeah.
I
But
think
again, it
it's
goes
really
back
great.
to look at like the way Adam plays. It's long rallies, and this is what the public can relate to, and this is why tennis does so well. Like when I remember very well when I used to coach at a school, and all these kids wanted to watch some table tennis on YouTube, so I put it up on like the board, right? And they had no idea what was going on. I showed them like Ma Long and Fan Dong or whatever, right? And it weren't working. I was like, I love this. And they were just so bored. And then I chucked on some like long rally stuff that was like amateur level, whatever. It weren't no pros. And they were buzzing. And they couldn't wait to get back on the table. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting.
It's
like,
relatable. Relatable
yeah,
stuff.
that there, I was like, oh, that's actually really interesting. Like doing that market research on 5 kids in this classroom before we went to play table tennis. It was weird. So yeah, like I think that's kind of the secret to it. When there are long rallies, but it can't be long rallies to the point where then you still want that high levelness. But do you know what I mean? Like long rallies work. Yeah, Pongfinity are doing an amazing job again. Like they're doing
insane.
cool.
And this comes back to like this is funny because we were trying to get together in Düsseldorf and make a video. It was me, you, Emil from Pongfinity, and Adam. And that comes back to consistency and just and I mean the amount of passion to just continuously they love it so much that it's not a chore. You know, it's not a chore for us to create table tennis content. We genuinely want to keep putting stuff out there, and we want to improve the sport. And Adam and the guys from Pongfinity are exactly the same. They're non-stop table tennis. It's like you wake up in the morning. Sometimes you can't sleep at night because you're trying to think of something that you want to do for table tennis. Sometimes you get up in the morning and you have a great idea and you're like, oh, I'm going to try that today. It's like it's a never-ending sickness.
It really is. It really is. It's non-stop. And
there was one question. Some people were asking about whether you have to be in your national team to play an ITTF event. If you want to play ITTF events on the World Tour, you have to be endorsed by your national association. So you don't have to be in your national team necessarily, but your national governing body has to approve your entry. So you can't just enter the China Open and just show up. Your national association has to
approve that it's okay.
Yeah. So a lot of the time, the players who are doing it, they enter through their national association. So they do group entries. But yeah, it's not like anybody can just show up and play the World Tour. And especially once they change to World Table Tennis, you really won't see as many, examples of, I don't want to say lower level players, but it's really going to be focused on the highest level of table tennis players, which is going to be interesting.
Yeah. Joe, I've got a question here. If you could have one player's pro game for one day, who would it be? Who would I pick, right? I would pick Marlon just to work out how on earth the geezer's so good. Like, what's he doing? Like, he makes it look so simple. He just steps in, backhand pushes, he's got a nice backhand hold, big forehand, but, the serve's going on. Like, when you watch someone like, I don't know, Fan Dong, you're like, oh, God, that guy's a beast. Like, you can understand, like, the sheer power and madness. But with Marlon, he's got something about him that, it's like when you watch Messi at football, there's something about it, and I'd love to just be that person for a day and sense it and just be like, wow, I can't miss this backhand. It just always goes on, like,
right. Without even thinking.
Yeah, do you know what I think, right? I think Marlon, the reason why he is where he is because of his backhand block. The hold is unbelievable. He doesn't miss on the backhand, right? He's in a rally with someone. He's always safe on that backhand. And then he counters, and then he gets the forehand in. Like, he doesn't make errors, like, on this backhand side. Like, he's so solid.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's all the other stuff as well. But when you watch, when you watch other players, they break down. Like, and I think that's one of the problems with trying to compete with someone like Marlon or the Chinese. They break down quicker. Whereas Marlon has a higher level before he breaks down. Like, his basics are so high. Like, you'll never see him miss a forehand. Pushing the net just don't happen. He has to be outplayed in a rally to miss the ball.
Every time.
And that blimmin' backhand is just like, he has Marlin back in the day, ripping forehands at him, and he just holds him off the table, So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I would love to be Marlon for a day.
We're out of time.
Yeah, that was a serious rant. No, man.
We're out of time. And I knew this would happen because, we could probably do like 10 hours. And
maybe we should do a YouTube live and just go for do a
what if fuck you?
You
can tell that Dan will continue to do table tennis things for completely unreasonable amounts of time, like bouncing a ball on a racket, having a rally, saying table tennis 100,000. Was it 100,000 times?
Dude, that killed me.
10,000
I couldn't speak for a few days.
Insane.
Yeah,
absolutely insane.
It was stupid. What happened was I got like 4,000 in. I was like, I can't really stop now. But I wanted to stop. It was like 3 or 4 hours it took to get to like 4,000. And I was like, oh my God.
You just became a machine.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, we'll have to do this again sometime. And certainly,
let's keep catching up, man. This is great.
I think an in-person catch-up is going to be on the cards, I think. I don't know when it's going to be possible, but I might run into Bristol,
100%. Once the coloured rubbers, were they just prototypes? This is what I want to find out.
Well,
Obviously, the whole lockdown thing.
you've got 23 seconds. So
Oh wow, okay. Color rubbers are coming into
send
play.
that question. Yeah, send that question to Dan in the DM.
We
All
need to
right, we've
know.
got 10 seconds. It's time to close it out.
Yeah, Matt. Love you, man.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah.
You're
We'll
a
try and
hero.
do something else again. Catch you later, dude.
Yeah, rematch soon.
Yeah.
Take care, dude.
You